Hello, I'm Phillip O'Reilly. I worked on independent films as an actor in various roles, as well as working on many Hollywood films and television shows as a background actor, and well over 100 different shows since 2013. Welcome back if you watched my previous video where I talked about some of my other set experiences.
Almost every day is different than the other, and some days are shorter or longer than the next. I've had everything from days where I've arrived on set to find out that the workday was cancelled and I was sent home with a full day's pay, all the way to working 15-hour days. More often than not, the days will be longer because production usually wants to film as much as possible in the workday, especially if they're shooting on location and only have a limited amount of time at the location. Here are some of my set experiences and some examples of longer days on set.
I worked on a few episodes of the NBC television series Superstore. It was one of the funnest sets that I've worked on. They often find gags for background actors to do in scenes so they feel like they're more part of the show.
At the end of filming season 1 on episode 11 in the episode titled Labor, they started filming the intro sequence for the opening credits. The ADs and PAs had us ping-ponging back and forth up and down the aisles. At one end cap there was a structure that contained bouncy balls that could be accessed from the top or below. In one of my quick passes, an AD told me to grab a ball and continue on. I bent down and grabbed a ball from the container and continued on my way. Once I got back to the AD, I was scolded for grabbing the ball from the bottom instead of the top because it could have sent all the balls pouring onto the floor. I found it amusing that my supposed mistake ended up making it into every episode of the series during the opening credits.
I worked on the medical drama series Code Black several times. I portrayed everything from patients to orderlies. Many of the days on set were 12-hour days or longer.
In season 2, episode 8 and 9, I played a paramedic who was transporting a patient into the hospital. In one of the takes, one of the doctors played by Rob Lowe is right behind me, assisting in bringing in patients for treatment. Many of us were packed into a small area on set just off camera with nowhere to go. When the director yelled cut, I had nowhere to go behind my gurney, and Rob Lowe ran right into me from behind. I didn't exactly enjoy that, but I'm sure there are several women out there that would have loved to be in my position. I have to also note that he played the antagonist in one of my favorite comedy films, Tommy Boy. At least he didn't throw a milk carton at me, spray me down with water, and pee on my belongings. Later on, I along with another paramedic had to help transport a patient from the gurney to a bed with the help of Nurse Jessie played by Luis Guzman. Luis Guzman coordinated with me on a plan to move the patient, but the other paramedic told me her idea before I could say otherwise, and we began rolling. There was a minor mishap in moving the patient, and Luis Guzman got a little upset with me for the mishap. In the end, everything ended up okay though.
I worked on the television series Bloodtalk, a series starring Sir Patrick Stewart in the season 2, episode 8 titled A Cell Doesn't Have to Be a Closet.
In this episode, Sir Patrick Stewart's character was in prison, and I also played a prisoner. I walked by him a few times on set but didn't bother him out of respect. He did say excuse me as we crossed paths in a narrow hallway once. After we wrapped, I went up to Sir Patrick Stewart and told him that I'm a Star Trek fan and that I'm a fan of his, and that I looked up to him. He said, "Oh, you like Star Trek?" He seemed enthusiastic about that, and he went over to grab his cell phone because he wanted to show me something. He showed me Star Trek The Next Generation scripts that he was selling on top of tables. Before I could ask him further questions about it, crew members from production whisked him away promptly. I don't normally get starstruck on sets, but this was a rare exception.
In 2017, I worked on the film Street Survivors, the true story of the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash. It's a film about the southern rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd and the plane crash that prematurely caused an end to the original band.
The film finally saw a release a few years later in 2020. I played the role of a doctor at the hospital where the plane crash victims were treated at. For a background actor, I was given a surprisingly good amount of actions to perform on camera. I was first told to bump into the main star Ian Schultes portraying Artemis Pyle in the hallway, even having the audio of me saying "oh" in the film. So, should I count that as a speaking role? No, but pretty close to it. Also, they had me perform surgery on one of the plane crash victims. Obviously, I'm not a trained surgeon that spent years going to medical school, so I did the best of my ability, hopefully convincing enough for the camera.
I hope you enjoyed listening to some of my set experiences. If you like this video, please give it a like, share it, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of any future videos. Thank you.